So up to this point, if we simulate now, I'm just visualizing there, you can see we don't have anything very spectacular. We've got the density coming in, being sourced into the simulation, but really we're not simulating at all. We might just be, let me see, let's see, we're probably just dissipating a little bit. Maybe the disturbance, I don't think will actually do anything. It is working on the density, but we're not bringing in any temperature or velocity, so there's nothing really pushing around our volume, right? It's just being sourced in and then just kind of stays where it is, and it might be kind of dissipated away a little bit, but there's nothing really going on at the moment, so that's no good. What we need, so as I said, we're not working with the temperature, but we are going to be bringing in the velocity, and we do have velocity. So if we come here and look at our points and click this, we can see we have these nice vector trails. So we want to be bringing that into our simulation. So once we get here, we're rasterizing our volume, and then if we press I here, we can see all we have is our density volume, just one point and one primitive in the middle, which doesn't really do anything. So we need to just press V here, and that will generate another volume, which is a vector volume, okay, and it's called V. And we need to source that into our simulation. So if we go to sourcing there, we can see we're looking for density and temperature. Temperature we don't have, so we just get rid of that. And then we add another one, which will be a vector, and the source volume coming in, okay, is called V. Okay, it's just whatever you put here, that's what it'll be called. And the target field within Pyro, okay, so when outside is called a volume, here in this land, and inside the simulation it's called a field, and that field is called vel, always called vel. Okay, so that should work for us. So if we just visualize that, we should see something different. There we go. So right away you can see that smoke moving now. It's an actual simulation. I suppose before technically it is a simulation, but there's nothing really going on. Still, obviously, you know, it doesn't look feature quality, but something's going on at least, right? So yeah, it's really important that that dust kind of follows along with the debris that we generated in the previous lessons. Okay, so what we can do to improve on that is add some noise to that. Okay, so if we come above the rasterize, it's important that we do this above because we're working on the points, right? Above or below this doesn't really matter. I'm going to add a point velocity. So if we drop this in here, okay, come a bit later on, we still see that those velocity trails. Now what's important here, we might, if we skip forward later on, yeah, you see we start to get some really weird results here. And the reason for that, if I hide this, you can see this is affecting our velocity in some way. So if you look here, we can see it's computing from deformation. So we're looking at each point changing over frame. It's the same as doing a what's it called, trail, I think. It's kind of common practice to do this and do compute velocity. You can see we're getting that same results there. All right, I assume it's, you know, this has one of these inside, which is no good. So what we want to do is just keep incoming. Okay, so that will use the velocity that's imported. And what we really want this for is this curl noise. So I want to add curl noise, which will add a little bit of variance to it. Okay, so you can see it's not a lot, but just a subtle bit of noise. I'm just going to leave these at default. You know, we can always come back to this and add to it later, but that's pretty much it for that. Also with the visualization, a big effect on this will be, if I just come forward a little, you can see it looks kind of very low resolution. So that will be affected by the voxel size, but also if we press D on our keyboard, come into the display options, go into texture, this limit resolution will have a big effect, and also the HDR textures. So all this depends on your graphics card, right? You know, you can either just completely turn this off, or, you know, just put higher values in here. This is, you can think of it as like a box of voxels, right? And each axis is divided into this many boxes, right? So we're limited to 128, 128, 128. So, you know, the bigger our simulation gets, the more kind of pixelated, I suppose you could say, it will look. All right, so we'll try just turning that off, and then changing this to full HDR to get better lighting. Maybe let me just come forward a little here. You can see just without, you know, I haven't changed any of the simulation settings there. We've got a you know, it looks much smoother and nicer. I'm going to, yeah, like I said, just drop an area, sorry, a distant light. No, sorry, I'm going to press escape because this is going to drop on where my mouse is. I'm going to control and click on that, and then go here, and we don't want to look through light. We want to go back to our perspective camera. Okay. I'm just going to put this to low quality again while we're kind of arranging this. Right, so now if I go back one, you see it pop back into that low quality. There we go. So that's easier to see. And then just kind of come forward a little. Just kind of setting the lighting there. Again, this distant light is just for, you know, for as we're working on the simulation here. So I'm going to dive in there. I'm going to put this up to 0.03, I think, for now. And that's going to change our simulation. Let's go back to the first frame. And this rasterize the voxel size there, put that to the same. Well, we'll just set up a thing between them, okay, so that they have the same values always. So that will be connected to this. So 0.03 should be fine for the moment. You can go higher, you know, if it's taking a long time for you to simulate. I just want to get a look at, you know, what's going on at the moment. Maybe we'll merge in the points as well to see how they interact with each other. Okay, so I'm just going to connect that down here, and then maybe just, you know, before we're doing all this business, just connect up the points like that. Okay, I'm going to save this. Let me actually just visualize the points to set up our camera a bit better. Let's turn that off. Actually, that would be really annoying in a flip book. And we don't need it so low. Maybe something like that. Just thinking about, you know, the road's going to be up here. That's where all the action is. We're not going to have a camera really low like that. It's most likely going to be up here. But just to get a sense, something like that should be good. So back to the first frame, come here, let's put the high quality lighting on, D on my keyboard, turn off that limit resolution. Again, if you're struggling or, you know, Houdini's crashing, either turn that back on and raise these values, and, you know, you can leave that on 8 or 16. I'm going to try it on the full, see how we get on with that, see if we can handle it. Okay, go to full screen. I'm going to save it. And let's try flipbook. So I've just stopped it there at 140 frames. So let's analyze this and see what we like, what we don't like. So all the elements are there really. You know, we got density coming in, and it's moving along with our particles. So it seems to be, if you look kind of here, it's dissipating way too quickly. Okay, I'll probably just turn that off, to be honest. You know, I find at the default levels, it's always just kind of cuts off really quickly. That can be down to the lighting as well, though. Sometimes, you know, if you play around with the visualization settings, you can see density you know, it's just at a very low density. So, you know, you'll still see something in the render, but just in the viewport, it gets cut off. Also, obviously, these kind of these points here, that's where we're sourcing every frame. So these are separate frames on like one point, and we're just getting these funny lines. So we'll have to address that. We might want to, you know, I don't want full density all the way along. So here we're at frame 140. We've still got, you know, like another 100 frames to go. So I don't want it all just building up over that time. So we'll probably animate the density over time. Also, it looks a bit over the top, you know, a bit chaotic. So probably look at slowing down. I don't think by default we've got any turbulence applied at the moment. So that's all coming from the velocity, all the movement here. And it's a bit over the top, so we'll just kind of bring that down and maybe add some disturbance so you can see these big kind of smooth areas, which definitely don't help with getting a sense of scale. So we'll add some disturbance. I think it does have some, but maybe it might need adding a bit more to break up these edges a bit. And then we should have something much nicer.